Hello, Secondary 2 students, with you Mrs. Sarah Anwar, your biology teacher. Today we will complete our lesson Transportation in Human and Animals. In the last time we talked about the circulatory system, and we said that circulatory system consists of heart, blood and blood vessels, and we talked about the heart structure and the origin of the sound of the heart and so on. Today we will talk about the blood vessels and the blood pressure and the blood structure. Let's start with the blood vessels. Blood vessels are three types: arteries, veins, and the connection between them, which is the blood capillaries. Let's start with the arteries. What is the function of the arteries, or what are the arteries that comes out from the heart? Arteries are wide vessels that can carry the blood from the heart to other organs of the body. And we said that we have two arteries that comes out from the ventricles or the lower chambers of the heart, which is the aorta, which is the largest artery that comes out from the left ventricle, and the pulmonary artery, which comes out from the right ventricle to reaching to the lungs. What is the structure of the arteries? Arteries consist of three layers. The outer layer made of connective tissue, the middle layer relatively thick and consists of involuntary muscles which can contract and relax under the control of nerve fibers. But this layer or the middle layer of the arteries are more thicker than the middle layer in the veins. So the diameter of the arteries leaving space very thin for the blood to move. So the pressure inside the arteries is more than the pressure inside the veins due to the narrow tube that left inside the artery for the blood to move. And the inner layer of the artery, which consists of one row of tiny epithelial cells. This is the same structure for the vein, except in the middle layer of the vein is less thicker than the middle layer in the arteries. So the arteries are pulsated and elastic due to presence of the middle layer and the inner layer. The arteries also are paired between muscles. Why? To provide it with oxygen, because the arteries carry blood full of oxygen or oxygenated blood. So the arteries can be found near to the skin but paired between the muscles. Here is the comparison between the arteries and vein. Also, the blood capillaries are connecting between them. Here is the structure of the artery as we see here. The passage of the blood is very narrow, while here inside the vein it's very wide. The middle layer, which is elastic, is here in the artery thick, while in the vein is thin. And the outside layer is similar in both arteries and veins. Here we can see inside the vein there is a valve. Why? To prevent returning back of the blood again to the veins, while in the arteries it's devoid, or there is no valve inside except at the beginning of the arteries inside the heart. We have two valves or semi-lanar valve, aortic and pulmonary. Here is the exception between, or the difference between, the veins and arteries in the middle layer, which is less thick in the veins or thinner, so it doesn't pulsate because it has no enough elastic fibers. The function of the veins is to carry the deoxygenated blood reaching to the heart, except for the pulmonary veins, which comes out from the lungs and carry oxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood, or the blood which carry carbon dioxide, found inside the veins. And William Harvey, scientist, discovered that we can see the veins above the elbow if we tie a tourniquet above the elbow. And Ibn Nafis, Arab doctor, discovered the blood circulation. The capillaries here connect between the end of arteries and the beginning of veins, or the arterioles with the venules. And the diameter of the blood capillaries ranges between 7 to 10 microns. It's very thin to allow exchange of substance like the food, like the gases, or like the wastes. So it facilitates the quick exchange between objects in the blood and the tissue cells. Here we reach to the blood, and we will study the function of the blood, its structure, and the main components of the blood. As you know that the blood is a red liquid, viscous liquid, that can transport or can move throughout the body to transfer some materials. Its weak alkaline medium, 7.4 in its pH. Its color is red due to presence of hemoglobin inside it, which is red pigment inside the red blood cells, and its volume is about from 5 to 6 liters in the average. The structure of the blood is consists of four main components: the plasma, which is watery yellow fluid, and the cells, platelets, which is helps in formation of blood clot, white blood cells, which defend the body against microbes, and red blood cells or RBCs, which is the carrier for the oxygen and carbon dioxide, or carrier for the gases. Let's start with the plasma. Plasma forms 54% of blood volume. 90% of them is water, and the 10%, which is the rest, is about inorganic salts like calcium, sodium, bicarbonate, or chlorine. 7% for the proteins like albumin, like globulin, or like fibrinogen, which helps in blood clotting, and 2% of other components like sugar and amino acids, hormones, enzymes, antibiotics, wastes, and urine. The red blood cells, its number differs between males and females. In males, it's from 4 up to 5 million cells per millimeter cubic in males. But in females, it ranges from 4 to 4.5 million cells per millimeter cubic. The average age of the red blood cells is about 120 days, or about 4 months. So, after disintegration of red blood cells, its component will be distributed throughout the body to form another thing, the hemoglobin, it's iron and protein called globin. Globin moves to the digestive system to form the bile juice in the liver, which helps in the digestion of fats. So there is a relation between the components of red blood cells and the digestion of fats. It circulates about 172,000 circulates about 172,000 circulations in the 4 months, and it originated or produced or formed inside the bone marrow of the backbone, or the jelly-like fluid which is found inside the large bones of the body. Its shape is biconcave, or has a concave shape from the two sides to can carry the hemoglobin or the oxygen. So the hemoglobin which carry oxygen called oxyhemoglobin, and the hemoglobin which is carry carbon dioxide is called carbaminohemoglobin. Like this. Also, the red blood cells are destroyed in liver, spleen, and also in the bone marrow, which is the same space it's formed inside before. As we said that protein helps in formation of the bile juice while the iron will be stored inside the body again. The white blood cells or leukocytes, its number is about 7,000 cells per millimeter cubic, and this number will increase during the disease. It's also nucleated, so it can divide, and take care that red blood cells enucleated or without a nucleus. So any loss of red blood cells, it can't regenerate itself or it can't divide again. The average age of the white blood cells is different from the red blood cells. It's only from 13 to 20 days destroyed and then regenerated again from the bone marrow, spleen, and lymphatic system. Its function is to attack microbe skeleton or to defend the body against the microbes. It has a defense or protection against any infectious disease. It circulates in the blood vessels, attack the foreign bodies and destroy it or engulf it. We have different shapes of nuclei inside different types of white blood cells, like monocyte, eosinophil, basophil, lymphocyte, or neutrophil. Other component of blood is the blood platelets. Blood platelet size is about the quarter size of the red blood cells. Its average size is about 10 days and its number about 250,000 cells per millimeter cubic. They are also produced inside the bone marrow and plays an important role in making a blood clot or prevent bleeding. So what is the mechanism of the blood clot? The blood runs move slowly and smoothly inside the blood vessels, but if its speed slower than the normal, or if the blood platelets hits any rough surface like the cut or the worn out cells, so it will form a clot. Also, if the cut happened to the cells and the blood exposed to the oxygen, also the blood clot will be formed. So, what is the exact mechanism of formation of blood clot by the aid or by the help of platelets? If we recall the mechanism of blood clotting, it begins with blood platelets when it meets the destroyed cells in presence of factors of blood clotting which are present inside the blood will form a protein called the thromboplastin. This thromboplastin in presence of calcium ions and the factors of blood clotting will transfer or activate the prothrombin protein into thrombin, and this thrombin will help in aggregation of fibrinogen protein into fibrin or transform a protein which is soluble inside the blood plasma into insoluble fibrin. Here, in presence of insoluble fibrin, the blood platelets will aggregate in the site of injury, forming the blood clot. So why the blood doesn't clot inside the blood vessels? As the blood moves smoothly and slowly inside the blood vessels, it will not clot. And there is something called the heparin or substance secreted from the liver called the heparin, which prevent the step of conversion of prothrombin into thrombin, so the blood clot mechanism will not be completed. Also inside the blood vessels, the blood runs smoothly and very easy. So what is the function of the blood is to transport the digested food, the oxygen, carbon dioxide, or gases and wastes, hormones, enzymes throughout the body. It also regulates and controls the metabolism, keeping the temperature of the body 37 degrees Celsius at a constant temperature, protect the body against microbes by the action of white blood cells, and protect the body from bleeding by formation of the blood clot. Now we will talk about the blood pressure. We have two numbers, one of them in the numerator and the other is denominator. The above number is 120 and the lower number is 80. The highest number is called the maximum blood pressure and the lower one is called the lowest blood pressure. And these two blood pressures can be measured by an instrument called the sphygmomanometer. As you know that blood pressure in the venules or in the vein is 10 millimeter mercury, so it's very low to force the blood to move inside the body. So we can measure the blood pressure near to the arteries that are near to the heart, and the blood can move inside the veins by the action of skeletal muscles which contract and relax to help the veins to move the blood inside the body. The blood pressure, the normal, is 70 to 72 beats per minute, and it can increase during the exercises or by the effect of the illness or the age. As you see here, it's a digital scale and mercury tube. If you write this tourniquet surrounded the elbow and you can hear the sound beats, as you can hear the sounds, you can record the upper number, which is the maximum number, and if the sound of the heart beats disappear or you can't hear it, so you can record the lower number or the lub sound. Here is the end of the lesson. Thank you.